Guys, Mike Kruzich here with the Final Expense Dojo. I want to do a quick video today, and I've been really wanting to do this video for a long time. Seriously, like a long time, but just finally got around to it. All right. And before I get into the video here, you can check out my website. FinalExpenseDojo.com has the most comprehensive training. One person here on YouTube commented that one of my videos had the best training on the market today. And so go to the FinalExpenseDojo.com to check that out. You can reach me at 1-800-933-1525. And also, if you go to my website, there'll be a pop-up to put in your email. If you do that, you will get to download my 104 niche underwriting cheat sheet, under height and weight cheat sheet, and carrier cheat sheet, and more right there. Okay, you put in your email, it'll route you to this page here. You can hit that to go to the cheat sheets, and check this out. You actually have free access to the quote engine, multiple carrier quotes on one screen. Check this out. Oops, wrong one here. Check this out. Hit multi-quote engine, okay? And you can run a quote, put in their date of birth, and you can run a quote with a bunch of different carriers. Check that out. Bunch of different carriers. And so, yeah, go ahead and put in your email. You get access to that forever. All right. And make sure you hit the like button if you like the content, if it helps you out, if I share with you something that you don't already know. And then also, please hit the subscribe button. Smash that subscribe button. All right. Let's get to the video. All right. Today, I wanted to do a review on, in my opinion, 3 of the biggest final expense life insurance carriers on the market today. All right. Now, I want to do a side-by-side comparison, okay, on all 3. And really, the review is going to be based upon 5 different points. It's going to be based upon their financial rating and the years in the business. Okay. Number 2, the ease of underwriting. You know, we run into a lot of sick people in final expense, so that's really important. Number 3, ease of submitting business. Okay. Can erase a lot of headaches or make your job a lot harder. Number 4 would be compensation. And number five would be agent communications. Okay, basically agent friendliness. All right. So yeah, and I'm also going to do a side-by-side comparison with the rates. And let me do that first, because that is the number 1 misconception with the Americo product. A lot of people say, oh, the rates are high. Well, if you take a look at this, see, one thing to realize with Americo Eagle Premier is, and by the way, most of this video, when I mention Americo, I'm gonna be referencing the Eagle Premier product, okay, specifically. All right, and the Eagle Premier product, it automatically adds in accidental into it. So double indemnity accidental. So if they were to die of an accident, it pays out double the face amount. Okay, they automatically add that. With Mutual of Omaha and Transamerica, you would have to check that. You'd have to check that on the individual Mutual of Omaha or Transamerica quote engine, quote link to be able to do that. So when agents just run it, like let's say you run a quote on the multi-quote engine that I just shared with you guys on my website. Well, Americo Eagle is going to come out, you know, about $5 a month, you know, depending on the situation, about $5 a month more expensive than Mutual of Omaha and Transamerica. But guess what? That's because it's adding in the accidental automatically. So if you were to do apples to apples comparison, so Transamerica with accidental rider, Mutual Omaha with accidental rider, Americo Eagle, which already has the accidental rider, look at the rates here for $5,000. I mean, they're nearly identical, right? Nearly identical. I mean, this one right here, so for $15,000, a 60-year-old female, okay, non-smoker, look at this. So it's really like $3 a month. That's the biggest difference here. With these, it's like $1 or $2 difference. So really, we could probably say that the rates are a wash within all 3. Again, if you do apples to apples comparison. Now, one of the worst situations for Americo is smokers. They don't like smokers, so If you were to looking up smokers versus with all three apples to apples, America is going to come in probably one of the more expensive carriers in the industry for smokers. But non-smokers, which most people in my area, they don't smoke, so I'm fine. So yeah, but yeah, anyway, let's get to the nitty gritty. The first one I'm going to talk about is the strength and stability, which would be like the financial rating with AM Best. Okay. And then also how many years it's been in business, because that's really important, I believe. As an agent, you have a responsibility to offer carriers that have been in business for a long time, that are going to stay in business, right? And then also carriers that have a high financial strength and stability. A lot of carriers out there are small, and Final Expense are really small carriers. They have no financial rating and they haven't been in business for very long. And honestly, that's, I mean, yeah, a lot of the times the rates are going to be cheaper with those carriers, but I just don't feel right about it. Um, Typically, you want a carrier that has been in business over 100 years. Reason is because if they've been in business 100 years or more, they've survived 2 world wars. So they're going to stay in business for the long haul. Okay, so Americo, with financial rating in the years in business. Americo's actually been in business since 1906, if you're factoring in. And by the way, we're factoring in all the carriers that these carriers have bought out as well. So with that being said, because most insurance companies nowadays, the big ones, they've bought out multiple companies sometime along the road. So Americo, the company that's been in business the longest that Americo has merged with, was been in business since 1906. So it's safe to say that Americo's been in business for 112 years, and they actually have an A rating with AM Best, A for excellent, strength and stability. Okay, they have billions of dollars in assets. And one fun fact is Americo, they were the first insurance company to ever offer children life insurance. Okay, so not too shabby, not too shabby there. Mutual of Omaha, they have an A plus rating, so a little bit higher than Americo. They have been in business for 109 years, a little less than Americo. In 1966, fun fact is they were actually among the first companies to provide Medicare supplement coverage, which is pretty cool. Okay, Transamerica, they have an A plus rating for excellent financial strength and stability, which is the same as Mutual of Omaha, a little bit higher than Americo's. Have been in business for the same amount of years as Americo. If you're factoring in the companies that they've bought out, which the longest one was been in business since 1906. So that's 112 years, just like Americo. Fun fact about Transamerica, number one is they actually own the Transamerica building in downtown San Francisco, which is pictured right there if you can see my screen. And I've actually been there. Really cool fact is it was actually the tallest building on the West Coast for many, many years, up until here a year or two ago. Salesforce, their building is taller now, but it was one of the tallest buildings, the 8th tallest building in America, and the tallest one on the West Coast. So it's pretty impressive. It's a multi-billion-dollar, skyscraper. So yeah. So if I were to rate all three carriers, really it's kind of a wash. It's kind of a wash here, but Mutual of Omaha and Transamerica, they have the second highest rating with AM Best, and America has the third highest rating. Okay, and all three of them have been in business over 100 years. So I would give Americo 8 out of 10 here, Mutual of Omaha a 9 out of 10, and then Transamerica a 9 out of 10 here. Pretty much the same, but because the financial strength is a little bit higher with these two, I'll give them 1 extra point. Okay, so yeah. All right, so the next one that I'm going to be rating on is the ease of underwriting. All right. Very important. Like I said before, it's extremely important because in Final Expense, we see a lot of people with a lot of different health conditions. It's not as cut and dry as it is with maybe with term, right? When you see a lot of healthy people, these seniors, they have a lot of crazy different conditions. So you have to really know the underwriting to be competitive. And so let's start off with Americo. Americo's weaknesses I would say would be warfarin, the drug warfarin, which is a blood thinner, and nitroglycerin. Okay. One nice thing about Americo, they do have a guaranteed issue product. It's not the best rates, but the fact that they have a guaranteed issue product is pretty cool. And they do have fully automated underwriting, which is extremely important. Okay. You don't want an underwriter to be there and looking through it, and one day you submit an app and they approve it with different conditions, and another day you submit an app, you get another underwriter, and even though it's like the same medications as another person, the same conditions, they might decline it. I just would rather have an automated system. So Americo is the only one out of the three that has automated underwriting. And one nice thing about Americo is they have the best rates for smokers with COPD. Because Americo, they don't dock them for smoking if they have COPD, which is really, really cool. No other carrier does that. But let me go through all of the different conditions that Americo Eagle Premier takes. Lupus, cerebral palsy, amputation over 2 years, arrhythmia, irregular heartbeat, atrial fibrillation, assisted living, bipolar schizophrenia, COPD, emphysema, diabetic neuropathy. All those three would be with Ultra Protector 2. Okay, they accept hepatitis C, kidney disease, or renal disease, as long as it's non-chronic. Parkinson's, seizures, insulin, diabetes with no minimum age of diagnosis. They have a grandchild or a child rider with no underwriting. There's Yeah, it is an instant approval e-app, no faxing, no interview. Only 12-month look back on many conditions that most carriers will look back 2 years. So on the applications, and let's pull up some of the let's pull up like Mutual Omaha. Okay, so and then we'll pull up Transamerica too. Okay, so Mutual of Omaha here. One of the things that's not good is if they ask if they've had diabetes before the age of 50. That's a huge percentage of the final expense business. So that right there tells you that Mutual of Omaha is very strict. And then also they ask, in the last 4 years, have you had kidney disease, lupus, bipolar depression, schizophrenia, Parkinson's, multiple sclerosis, cancer, leukemia? That's going to knock out a lot, because Americo, they're going to ask a lot less. Past 2 years stroke, TIA. Americo and Transamerica, they're going to ask in the last 12 months, or in some cases here, last 2 years, convicted of, incarcerated, fully awaiting trial for a felony. Americo, they don't care about felonies or anything like that, which is pretty cool. Yeah, and this question is pretty crazy, but yeah, that tells you right there that Mutual of Omaha, their underwriting is very, very strict. So with Americo Eagle Premier, take a look at this. Here we go. See, Mutual of Omaha, they asked in the last, 6 years? Last 4 years, right? So they're just going to ask in the last 24 months, have you had cancer or melanoma? Okay. And then look at this. Last 12 months, have you had, different heart conditions, stroke, heart attack, angina, stuff like that? Last 12 months, Mutual of Omaha, they asked some of that last 4 years, last 2 years also. Transamerica, they're going to ask in the last 2 years for a lot of those. Cancer is going to be the last 4 years. But they're going to ask in the last 12 months for some stuff for standard rates, which is pretty cool. But yeah, one of the main thing to consider is with Transamerica, they have basically the same underwriting as Americo, but in a lot of cases, with Transamerica, they'd be standard rates, which would be a higher rate than Americo would do with their coverage, which is nice. But the main difference out of the three, The biggest strength is Transamerica. They'll take nitroglycerin, which is a medication. You don't run into it too often, but you do from time to time. They take that, and then as long as they haven't taken the medication in 12 months, if they've been prescribed it, that's fine. They just have to say that they haven't taken it. And then they do accept the blood thinner warfarin, which is like probably the most hardcore blood thinner. Americo takes other blood thinners, but not warfarin, and Mutual of Omaha doesn't take those. So yeah, I would say that Mutual of Omaha, they have the tightest underwriting out of the three by far, and it's a non-automated underwriting and no diabetes diagnosis before the age of 50, which is crazy. But a couple strengths is they do take people that have epilepsy or seizures, and then they will approve in some minor cases if they've been prescribed nitro but they haven't taken it. But yeah, so really out of the three, I would put Americo 10 out of 10 for underwriting. I mean, it's, if you combine it with their Ultra Protector product, really they take almost every single condition that you can think of, and then they also have a guaranteed issue product, even though it's not the best rates. But the fact that they do have it is pretty cool. So yeah, I would give them a 10 out of 10. Mutual of Omaha, their underwriting compared to most final expense carriers, which I just showed you, I mean, 6 out of 10. It's really, it's just not special in any way, really. There's no niches really that other carriers don't offer. So yeah, Transamerica, I would give it 8 out of 10. They still do take COPD, Parkinson's, stuff like that. So still is pretty good underwriting, above average with most final expense carriers. So I would give them an 8 out of 10. Okay. The third thing that we are going to talk about, the third category, is the ease of submitting business. Okay, this one's going to be really important to me and most agents that I talk to, because this can really, it just gives you so much more work if it's not easy to submit business. Okay, and so let me just go over, I'll go over Americo first, then Mutual of Omaha, then Transamerica. Okay, so with Americo, it's super easy to submit business. It's a 5-minute electronic application with the signatures on the screen. It's instant decision 100% of the time. You just can't, there's some e-apps that are out there that you submit an app and then sometimes it says, oh, call in for an interview, or sometimes it says, oh, we can't make a decision on the spot. Well, with Americo, it's 100% of the time they're going to give you a decision, which is freaking awesome. And there's no telephone interview ever with Americo Eagle, ever, ever, ever. You never have to send anything in, even if it's a replacement. The replacement, you just say yes, it's a replacement on the e-app, and it'll pop up with a replacement form with the bundle on the e-app, which is awesome. I don't know another carrier that does that. And also, one thing that's nice is they do a prescription check halfway through the app. So if they don't qualify, they will actually kick it back halfway through. So you don't have to complete the whole entire application just to find out. They'll tell you halfway through, which is really cool. Saves a lot of time. Last thing that's really cool about submitting business with Americo Eagle is the policy is sent automatically the next day through the mail. Which is the fastest in the business. They're going to receive the policy faster than any other carrier, which is, I mean, to some people, it really does matter, right? Especially those people that might be a little skeptical. They're going to get a policy right away. And so basically with Americo, it's nice because you get home at the end of the day and you have absolutely no paperwork to submit nothing. You don't have to go and check the case status online. You don't have to call the carrier, hey, did I screw up anything? Hey, is that person approved? Nothing. It's super, super easy. It's the best process in the industry. And you just gotta love it, and you're paid at 12:01 a.m. on that same day. They send the commissions to your bank account on that same day upon submission. You just can't beat the ease of submitting business with Americo. So I give them a 10 out of 10. Okay. 10 out of 10. Well deserved. Very well deserved. I wish other carriers, I don't know why, but I wish other carriers would have a better process. But Mutual of Omaha, they have an optional e-app, but it's not instant decision. So it still is faster to do it on paper. There really is no incentive to use their e-app since they don't give you instant decision, and it does take longer to type it out in their e-app, with lag time, and maybe your internet might not be as fast, so it could take you longer to do the e-app than a paper app. So there's no incentive to use it. So yeah. One thing is they will call most of your clients to do a telephone interview after you submit the application. So what I recommend is you might as well do the point of sale interview every single time if you're going to use a Mutual of Omaha. Okay, which is kind of frustrating. I wish they had a true, paperless process, with the telephone interview with the instant decision, but they don't. You still have to submit the whole entire paper app, after the fact, even if you do the telephone interview. But it's still okay. You still get the decision if you do the telephone interview. Um, and it still does take time for them to issue the policy, after you submit it. So that is one thing. And then it's still possible for you to make mistakes on the application, and which should cause amendments. It could cause for you to have to go back out there and get more signatures, stuff like that. You'll lose sales sometimes if you go back out for signatures and people change their mind. When if you would have just submitted with Americo and it was a done deal when you left, you'd still have that policy on the books. So yeah, I would give them a 7 out of 10 for that fact that you have to fill out the, it's like with California. How big is it with California? Let's see. Mutual of Omaha. It's 18 pages. It's an 18-page application. I mean, that's just insane. So yeah, a lot of mistakes you can make. Obviously, over time you can get used to it and you won't make any mistakes, but there's still that learning curve on, everything you got to fill out correctly and everything like that. For new agents, it's just really confusing. So yeah, that's why I gave them a 7 out of 10. It's just not an easy process for agents, across the board. So Transamerica, let's get into them. They have no e-app, and it is one of the longest paper applications in the business. Yeah, so it's 18 pages with Mutual of Omaha. Transamerica, it is 15 pages, so it is still one of the longest applications. And it is probably the most confusing paper application in the business. It's not consistent. If you're really rushing trying to get to another appointment or something, you can really screw it up because, like for example, it's almost like they try to trick you. Like in this part right here, they have the proposed insured signature. They have the producer below, and then on another one, they'll have producer signature, insured signature, producer signature, proposed insured, producer, and where there's one that they just switch it on you. Right here, producers first, and then the owner, right? So it's just kind of confusing in this one here. This one here, primary proposed insured, and then they don't have an agent signature. So it's just kind of not consistent. It might confuse you. It's just confusing application to do. So also the underwriting takes time for them to approve because you have to submit it. You have to scan it and send it in, either fax it or send it in through email. So it's going to take typically a week to 2 weeks to get a decision back. And if you might come back and they might not approve your client with level first day coverage, and then you have to go back out there and re-sign them up with another carrier. And it's just, and then again, you might lose the sale at that point. It's just easier to use a carrier like Americo that's just instant decision in the home, in my opinion. But yeah, there's really is no excuse for carriers not to have an instant decision process that's completely paperless. This is 2018. I mean, these you guys saw the financial rating. All three carriers are multi-billion-dollar companies. They can afford to do an electronic application. That's instant decision like Americo's. There's no reason for them not to. It saves them time. It saves them paper. They wouldn't have to have as many employees They completely automate the whole entire process, so they wouldn't have to have any underwriters at all. They wouldn't have any amendments or anything, so that they'd get more policies placed that are submitted, so they'd make more money off of the policies, right? There's really no reason, so it's just kind of frustrating. I don't mean to be negative, but it's just so frustrating that these carriers don't have it. And so Transamerica is probably the worst process out of any carrier I've seen for final expense, the worst process to submit business. And so I give them a 5 out of 10. Sorry, Transamerica, I had to do it. Had to be completely unbiased there. Okay, but I still do submit, business to Transamerica from time to time. So they still do have their use, but it still is frustrating. Okay. All right. Number 4, compensation. So Americo, one thing that's nice is they pay full comp on ages 60 to 80. So on the higher ages, they don't drop the comp with a lot of carriers do. A negative is they do have 10% lower comp on ages 50 to 59. But with me, I add on these really tight age filters. So I don't see most of those people that are ages 50 to 59, because those people are usually like working, or they're hard to get a hold of. They're not retired, so I don't like seeing those people anyway. But one thing that's nice about Americo is they do have an 8% bonus on all production that they pay you from the carrier, which is awesome. No other carrier does anything like that. And they do have the highest comp in the industry with the Americo Eagle Premier product. And the reason is because it's kind of what I was talking about before. They don't have to have all the underwriters, and everything's just automated, and so it saves them a lot of money. And so they're able to pay the agents the highest comp in the industry on that product. So, I mean, good for you, Americo, right? They're able to make more money, and they're passing on, some of those profits to the agent. So phenomenal. The other downfall with it would be they have lower renewals on the Americo Eagle Premier Series. But since they do have the highest first year comp in the industry, with the 8% bonus included, I'd rather get, my compensation, I'd rather get it in the first year than, having it spread out over 10 years so I can reinvest in my business, and things like that. So I'm going to give Americo a 9 out of 10 with comp. The only reason I dropped them 1 point and didn't give them a 10 out of 10, even though they have the highest first year commission in the industry, is because they do pay 10% lower on ages 50 to 59. So that's why I give them a 9 out of 10. So Mutual of Omaha, they do have some of the higher comp in the industry, which is nice. But obviously they have some of the tightest underwriting, so they should pay higher comp. Since they have such tight underwriting, they're taking on less risk, which means they profit more. So yeah, but they do have lower renewals than most carriers in the industry, and they do cut comp with the higher ages. Like if you have a client that's above 75, I mean, it's just not even. I believe it's over 75. Don't quote me, but I know for sure over 80. I mean, they drop your comp almost in half. So it's just not worth submitting anybody that's over the age of 80 with Mutual of Omaha if you do use them. So because of the lower renewals and the cut comp with the higher ages, I'm going to give them a 7 out of 10. All right, especially since they have some of the tightest underwriting out of any final expense carrier, they should have the highest comp because they're taking on the least amount of risk. So that kind of put a bad taste in my mouth, but it is what it is. Transamerica, one thing that's really nice is they pay the same comp on all ages, which is 45 to 85. The same comp. So even if you have like an 85-year-old person, they're going to pay full comp, which is unheard of in this industry, right? They do have some great renewals with Transamerica, and they have higher comp than most carriers with Transamerica. So I'm going to give them an 8 out of 10 for that fact. 8 out of 10. See, if Transamerica had a instant decision e-app, I mean, it would give them a run for the money with Americo, because they really do have a great product, but just because it's just so freaking hard to submit cases, and and then you get people declined, you got to go back out there, or you check one little box wrong. It's just so frustrating. But if you're listening, Transamerica, please come out to Instant Decision e-app. Or even if you had a 20-minute telephone interview that was paperless, shoot, I'd be cool with that too. But e-app would be best. So yeah, the verdict goes to Americo in this circumstance. Oh, one thing I didn't mention with Americo is they do drop comp with ages 81 to 85. So that's one thing too. They drop it a little bit. I think they drop it like 20 points. But again, you can filter that out with your leads. People that are above the age of 80, they're very hard to sell to, in my opinion. Most of them are really sick. They can't qualify for level coverage. And then the people that are healthy, they already have a bunch of policies a lot of times. So I just filter those out. I don't send mail to people that are over the age of 80 in most cases. Okay. So yeah. The fifth one and final qualification that I'm going to go over with these three carriers in this review is agent communications. Okay, and this is a super, super big pet peeve of mine. Okay, it's 2018. These are multi-billion-dollar companies that have been in business over 100 years. How hard is it for you guys? I don't mean to be negative, but it's just ridiculous, man. Like, how hard is it for them to make a automated email go out if someone calls in to cancel a policy, or if they miss a payment or anything like that? How hard is it to set up an automated email that goes to the agent immediately so that we can go out there and save the deal as quick as possible? And that is important because you will lose deals if you aren't able to get to the client immediately, right? And get them back on draft, or let's say you're getting replaced or something like that. Well, you got to get out there immediately, right? So Americo, they have automated emails set up with an Eagle Premier, and it automatically sends it immediately if they miss a payment, if they call to cancel, if just anything like that, they're going to notify you immediately. So I'm going to give them a 10 out of 10. I mean, it's not hard to set up. Most carriers do have it, but you'll see right now. So Mutual of Omaha, they also have the same automated emails. One nice thing about Mutual of Omaha is if you use their other products, like if you sell their term products or their universal life products, they will also email you when they have when there's a conversion possibility. So they'll send you an automated email. Like so I'll give you an example. Okay. So if you sell a term policy with Mutual of Omaha, after the first year on the anniversary, they're going to email you and say, hey, this person, you can actually help them convert their policy to a universal life or a whole life, a permanent policy. And here's the figures on it. And they're going to automatically email you that, which is kind of cool. Okay. Transamerica, I'm going to give them a 7 out of 10. And here's why. And this is super frustrating. Okay. Again, Transamerica is an awesome company. I still give them a lot of my business. But the fact that they just really lack in the technology right now in 2018. I hope they change it. But right now, they don't send you an automated email if someone calls in and cancels, or if someone misses a payment, or anything like that. They don't send it to you. The only time I've gotten emails from Transamerica is, and this is why I'm giving them a 7 out of 10 and not a lower score. I do get an email from time to time. It's not perfect, but if someone doesn't get approved as applied, let's say I submit them for preferred coverage, and they come back with graded or standard. Some of the times, about 50-50, they send me an email and let me know. Most of the time, though, they don't let me know, and I have to go in there and check in the back office. And this is one of the only carriers that does that. And so, can you guess how often I'm going in there and checking the Transamerica? I'm not. Most of the time, I'm going to give another carrier my business, and I only use Transamerica when they can't qualify with anybody else, which is, it's not that often. But yeah. But the biggest negative is if they call in and cancel, you get replaced, or if they miss a payment. The only way you're going to get notified is through snail mail. You're going to get you're going to get a letter from them, like 7 to 10 business days later. and it's like crap. You know, a lot of times you can't go back out there and save it because they already made up their mind. Whereas with Americo, if they called in and canceled, you're going to get a notification immediately, so you can just drop what you're doing, go out there and save it. But if you're going back out there 10 days later, I mean, it's just so much harder to save deals that way. So Transamerica, please set up the automated emails. Please, please, please. That'd be so much easier on the agents. Okay. So with that being said, why don't we add this up here? Okay. Why don't we add this up here? So let's go from the beginning. Okay. So let's just add up all the scores here. So Transamerica got a 9 for the first one, 9 and an 8. Okay. For financial rating and years in the business. Ease of underwriting, Americo, they have the best underwriting in the business, in my opinion. Mutual of Omaha 6, not very good underwriting. Transamerica for underwriting is 8. Okay. Perfect. Compensation, Americo is going to get a 9. Mutual of Omaha, they're going to get a 7 because they drop comp so significantly on higher ages. I believe they drop it on 75 and higher, and then once you hit 80 or higher, the comp is just in the dirt. They cut it by half. So Transamerica, they're going to get an 8 for comp because they have good renewals, and they don't cut comp for any age, which is really great. Ease of submitting business, Americo was given a 10, best EAP in the industry. Mutual of Omaha was given a 7, and Transamerica was given a 5. Just please fix this trans. So was that it? Oh yeah, agent communications, Americo got a 10. Mutual of Omaha got a 10. Oh shoot. And then Transamerica got a 7. So obviously, Americo did win here, but let me see the final score. Okay, 8 plus 10 plus 9. Okay, 47 out of 50. Awesome. Okay, Mutual of Omaha 9 plus 6 plus 7 plus 7 plus 10. Okay, 39 out of 50. Cool. Transamerica 9 plus 8 plus 8 plus 5 plus 7. 37. So here you have it. Based upon everything that I went over, yeah, I'm gonna give Americo the #1 spot with the 47 out of 50. It's just phenomenal carrier right now. Mutual of Omaha 39 out of 50 and Transamerica 37 out of 50. Hey guys, if you guys like the video, please thumbs up. If you guys like the content, smash that subscribe button and go ahead and hit up my website once again. And there you're going to get the 104 niche underwriting cheat sheet. And you're also going to get access to a lot of different resources, included a multi-carrier quote engine. All right. Thank you guys for watching. You guys take care.